Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation following. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Roll call, please.
Allen.
Here.
Green.
Here.
LaFleur.
Here.
Mistravich.
Here.
Ricks.
Here.
Warren.
Here.
Yark.
Here. Good to see everybody here tonight. Approval of minutes for the regular city council meeting of December 21st would be in order. So moved.
Support.
What's been made and supported? Is there any discussion on those minutes? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. We move on to audience comments, which we have no audience this evening, so we will not be going to the audience on our items for consideration this evening, unless somebody comes in. We have adoption of agenda. Mr. City Manager, any changes?
No changes.
Council, any changes? Being not, all in favor, we need a motion to accept the agenda as presented. So moved.
Support.
Motion's been made in support. Any further discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We need a motion for the consent agenda. Is there one?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support. What's been made and supported. There's no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on to the only item that we have for consideration this evening, and that is consideration of a pedestrian bump out at Monroe in Maine. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to consider approving pedestrian bump outs at the intersection of Maine and Monroe. Previously, Council approved a resolution supporting the idea of different traffic calming measures, including pedestrian bump outs. The bump outs have been part of our overall streetscape plan for many years, and the streetscape committee met earlier, or late in December, I should say, to review the schematic or diagram that's in your packet tonight. As with anything, there's always pros and cons, but the streetscape committee looked at the pedestrian safety aspects of the bump outs and the traffic calming aspects, which were the goals of the streetscape plan originally, and are recommending approval of this layout. The intersection of Maine and Monroe is centralized in that north business district, and there would be two intersections, one to the north and one to the south, that we would not change, that would still allow free movement.
Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the attached layout of the pedestrian bump outs at Maine and Monroe intersection.
Support.
What's been made and supported? Discussion. As John stated, there was a very lengthy discussion on the streetscape committee, and I think I know they satisfied all the questions that I had about the turning radius itself, how it was going to force large vehicles into the other lane. Maybe a vehicle with a long trailer on it could push it into the other lane. I believe that got twisted a little bit a month or so ago when we had raised a concern. And you are going to affect long vehicles such as travel trailers, probably 30, 40 foot long. You're going to affect the way they're going to be able to turn into, especially Chaps corner coming north, and also the other one would be turning north on, or I'm sorry, south on the Main from Monroe. Could cause some issues. I believe that that was my concern. I'm sorry, make that clear. That was my concern. I believe that we've had those problems anyhow with those long vehicles. As John has noted in his background brief, after all of our discussion that we had on that, it's very clear that We've had that problem all along. It's probably going to make it a little more difficult for them to make those, so they're going to be able to go one block either way and make those turn-ins. And quite often, from what I've been told, they do that anyhow. So there really isn't any real change happening here other than what we all had hoped for when we had done the original streetscape planning, and that was to calm the traffic on Main Street. We all know it's too fast at times. It's incredibly hard to get across Main Street from one side to the other at certain times of the day. And your exposure time without those bump outs is 4 lanes, because you have your parking lanes on both sides and then your main lane in the middle. And this is going to reduce it down to 2 lanes instead of the 4. So it's much safer. You're exposed for half the time of what you were before. It's going to calm traffic, as John, again, I believe it's in here, where it's going to back some of the traffic up a little bit because they're not going to be able to slide by you on the right-hand side when you make those turns, those left turns off of Main. So I think it's something that we needed years ago, and MDOT wouldn't allow us to do it, and now MDOT is allowing us to do it, and they just want to make sure that the city council is behind the administration and the streetscape committee and those who need to make sure that MDOT knows the city council is in support of this. So it's a long time coming. It's a major part, I think, of the streetscape, and what the whole idea of the streetscape was in the first place was to slow things down a little bit and to make our community look nicer. Well, this way, they're going to slow down a little bit and they're going to notice how beautiful our community is. So I'm all for this. Thank God MDOT is going to allow it, if City Council so wishes. Other comments?
I have a question. Will the stop signs stay in the same spot on Monroe, or do they get inched, like moved up?
They may need to be relocated slightly because you'll be out further, you're saying. It'll kind of depend on where the crosswalks end up more so than the bump outs.
Okay, because that would be just a concern, is if somebody's stopped on Main and wants to, do they inch out in order to pull out in traffic, or, because how would they see?
Well, at most intersections, but in this case it'd probably be exaggerated, you'd have to stop, you know, behind the sidewalk ramp, the crossing, and then cars do typically have to kind of creep forward, so that would still be this case here. You know, maybe a little further, but same scenario, so yeah.
Thank you.
Also, the other benefit of the bump out is the parking. The cars can't sneak up to the corner. They're actually kept back. So your sight of view for the traffic going north and south will be better at that point.
And they also noted that one parking space would be lost on Main Street. That happens to be on the southwest corner. And the husband of the owner of the business and the building there is on the streetscape committee. He did not indicate any problems with taking away that one parking space, which was great. That was an issue originally when the bump outs were proposed on Main Street. A lot of the business people had issues of, we're going to lose parking spaces. We can't lose parking spaces. Well, in this case, one. So, and they don't see it as a detriment to their business or those around them. So.
Mr. Mayor, also, this is a highly pedestrian area that people, always the main 4 businesses that are here in these corners are highly pedestrian populated, and people are always crossing the street. So I think it's, for safety, it'll just help that so much better.
Yeah.
And then also having the vehicles try to pass when somebody's turning left, this will stop that and will allow smoother transition of traffic as well that are trying to turn in and out. So yeah, I'm fully in support of this.
Anybody else?
I had a question.
Yep.
I didn't see in the background, unless I missed. What's the timeline for?
We're actually, this is part of that CDBG money that we had approved for the improvements to Water, Monroe, and Park. All of the ADA ramps are on there. So our timeline is to bid out over the winter. I think Jim pretty much has everything ready to go pending this meeting, outcome of this meeting, and it would be more than likely a spring project.
Okay. Well, based on the arguments for, I'm willing to vote for it, and let's see what happens.
Yes.
Let's, try it and see if it's, positive. I mean, there's a lot that people, yourself, Mayor, so forth, saying it's a positive. Let's see what happens. Let's,
That's what we said.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, we gotta take it down.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
But it's well motivated. I mean,
Yes.
pedestrian traffic, slowing, all those things are worthwhile things to give it a shot.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, there is no audience tonight, as I stated previously. We will go to the vote. Motion's been made and seconded. If there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. That completes our items for consideration this evening. We move on to city manager's comments, sir.
As council knows, there's a roundtable meeting this Thursday, I believe at 5:30. Just to let you know, once we scheduled that meeting, there was somebody that had previously reserved the community room. So we'll either be in this room, or if council wants, the room next door, where we have all the tables set up now.
Got
We
all the
would-
tables back there anyhow, instead of trying to, all tables in here?
Yeah.
Council's comfortable with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll open these doors, put a note directing
Sure.
people that way and prop that door open, to make sure the public
Yeah.
will find us if need to be. But yeah, the tables are set up,
Yeah.
so it'll be easier.
Yeah, you don't want to drag them in here.
Good utilization of space.
So, okay, and that's all.
Okay, we move on to council comments. Dennis?
Just hope everybody had a great holiday, and we'll wish everybody a happy new year. May everything work out great for them. So.
Jeffrey?
Just looking forward to a successful year.
John?
I have nothing.
Emily?
Nothing tonight.
Jamie?
Nothing.
Michael?
Just thanks for the community turning out at our last council meeting afterwards for the open house of
Yeah.
the facility or City Hall and the police post. So it was greatly appreciated, the hard work that the administration did to make that successful. I thought it was a great turnout, great food, great conversation as well, so that was really good too. Also, condolences out to one of our neighboring communities up in Memphis, who recently, just last couple days, lost their police chief, Chief Summers, due to an unexpected passing. So condolences to that community.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the family, of course.
Okay, yeah, and Happy New Year to everybody. I hope the holidays were a great time. I know they were in my house, and looking forward to a great year, as I stated earlier. Go to the calendar, today being January 4th. We have a Recreation Board meeting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock here at City Hall. City Council will be meeting this Thursday at 5:30 for our quarterly workshop, open to the public. The Library Board will be meeting on the 11th at 7 o'clock at the library. Cable Commission will be meeting on the 12th at 7 o'clock here at City Hall. And on the 14th, the Planning Commission will be meeting here at City Hall at 7 o'clock. The next regularly scheduled City Council meeting is 2 weeks from tonight on the 18th. And I believe that was it. I believe we have and it's not here. I think we cleaned up too well for the open house. But the Richmond Lennox EMS is having...
A blood drive tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
At Richmond Township offices. Unfortunately, I think you're right, I did take the flyers.
Well,
yep. I would imagine, I believe they start around 8:30 and
it's
go
2 to
to
8.
about,
2 to 8.
Oh, 2 to 8 is what I
2 to
wrote
8,
down on my
okay.
calendar.
And that's out at Richmond Township
Richmond
Hall.
Township Hall.
Okay, all right, I knew that was happening there. Okay. And again, I will echo what Michael said about the open house. It was nice to see so many friendly faces in City Hall, and nice to see so many others that I didn't know coming to see where their tax dollars are being spent in the new City Hall, which is very, very nice. I think a very proud building. Everybody that was there seemed to say, wow, what a nice building. Not overdone, not the Taj Mahal, but very well laid out for the city of Richmond. So great job to you and everybody else, John, that made this happen. So we got a great place to do great things this year, and we're going to do it too. If there isn't anything else, A motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
What's been made and supported, there's no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes.